Hi, welcome back to C Programming. I'm your Dr. Vasu. We are going to see the operations done on arrays. If you want to learn more about C Programming and many other interesting topics, please do subscribe this channel. And if you like this video, please hit the like button. That will keep me motivated to do many such videos in the future. So what are the different types of operations that can be done on arrays? Here, let us see. Suppose I want to do some calculations in arrays. So let's take a simple program. We have declared an array called A, having all the 5 integer values. And we want to suppose add all these values. And we want to get the sum of all these. So we have taken 2 variables. Sum is assigned as 0 and I is used for loop. So in the for loop, I'm going to do this sum operations, addition. So initially its sum is 0. So AI, that is A0 is taken here. A0 plus 0, that is assigned to sum again. Like this, the loop continues for 5 times and you are going to add every time a different A1, A2 like this. So we are going to add all the elements using this. And finally, we want to display the total value. Okay. So let's see all the elements are stored here in the array like this and compile the program and execute. The total you get like this, the 397. So all the values, all the elements in this array are added here and you get the total. Now, suppose you have an array and in this, you want to get the maximum value in that array. So here, let us see. This array is consisting of 100 elements, right? And declared as having 100 elements. And we have taken another variables like I, n, and maximum value. We want to store the maximum value in this. And here the printf is used to enter number of elements in this array. So here if you observe, actually I have declared the array as having 100 elements, but that doesn't mean that every array will be consisting of all the 100 elements. We are going to have as many number of elements as we want. That is, the number of elements in this array, suppose I want to have 10 only. So the 10 value is taken here and this array will be consisting of only those 10 values. Let us see how. So enter the n value here, right? N value. Enter, say 10 elements of the array. We are going to enter all the 10 elements in sequence and we are going to read those values and assign the values here dynamically with the help of this scanf. So the for loop is used to read the data and assign the values of the array. So entered elements, what are the elements you have entered are going to displayed here. So this another for loop is used to display these elements A0, A1 like this. How many? I less than or less than n, that is 0 to n. That is total n elements are going to be displayed. This is the value we have entered, right? The size of the array we have declared is here. And those many number of elements are going to be displayed. Now, let us see. Maximum value is initially taken as the first element. Whatever the, out of these 10 elements, suppose, the first value is considered as the maximum value. Now, in the for loop, we are going to compare the elements. The first element, this loop is going to run for n number of times. And here, if A0, that is A0 is greater than maximum value, then the maximum value is taken as A0. Now, next, the loop continues here. AI is equal becomes 1. So A1 is, if A1 is greater than max, max is consisting of A0. Earlier we have assigned A0 here. So A1 is, if A1 is greater than A0, then the maximum value is considered as A1. Next, A2. If A2 is greater than this one, right? If it is A1, it will be considered. Otherwise, the same old value of maximum will be there for max. So like this, A2, A3, A4 up to 10 values, it is going to compare with the previous one, right? If at all any value is greater than this previous value, that value will be replaced to the max. That value is assigned to the max. So like this, the loop continues, and we have the compile and execute the program. It is we are going to display the max value finally. So when you compile and execute, enter the number of elements. So here it is asking, we have entered 5. Suppose the data in this array is going to have only 5 elements. So enter 5 elements. It is saying, so enter the 5 elements because we have given the value 5. So first data element 22, 55. Like this, we have entered 5 elements. Now it is going to compare. Initially, the max value is A0. That is, initially it takes maximum value as 22. Okay. Now, when this loop continues, second A1. A1 means 55. If 55 is greater than 22, obviously, the maximum value will be now replaced with A1. That is 55. Okay. Next, it continues. Next, A2. If A2 is greater than 55, right? A2 is 34. But it is not, 34 is not greater than 55. So nothing happens in this. Next, it comes to another one, A3. It compares A3. A3 is 67, right? So 67 is greater than 55. So what happens? The maximum value will be replaced now and is assigned with 67. So max is now 67. It continues. Again, it compares with 64 and 67. 64 here, previous value 67. So it is false. So 64 is not greater than 67. So nothing happens here, and the maximum value will be finally left with the 67. So like that, the final value of max will be displayed. So here entered elements are also displayed here, and the maximum value is 67. Like this, we can operate the array elements like this. Okay. Suppose I want to have the minimum value of this array. I want to identify the minimum value in this. So for this minimum value, we have taken, instead of max, we have taken another variable called minimum, and the number of elements is the same. Even though this is of array can hold 100 elements, we are confining with the help of this number, right? This is of our interest. So here, minimum value is initially taken as the first element. The first element is taken as the minimum value, and we are going to compare each successive element with that. So the same logic is applied here. If this is A0, right, less than minimum, of course, initially A0 only. Next, when it repeats A1, A1 is less than minimum, right? That is A0, right? So if A1 is less than minimum A0, then that value will be replaced. Okay. So, and we are going to display the minimum here. Compile this, and the entered elements are 5. Now we have confined to 5 elements only. Now the data elements are asked to display. Enter. So we have entered the 5 elements. Out of all this, 34 is the minimum value. So the elements entered, whatever the elements we entered are displayed here. And the minimum value is find out as 34. So like this, we can handle the elements of the array. Okay. So we can do any type of calculations on the array elements. So in the next video, we are going to see the type of arrays. Hope you had understood this topic very well. And if you have any questions or doubts or any suggestions, please do comment. Thank you.